Hello, we are going to do a 4-part dictation together on this video. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I know what chords are fair game for this one. So the chords that I have told you that I'll use in these are going to be the 1 chord. So in the key of F, the 1 chord is F, A, C. The 4 chord, B flat, D, F. 5 chord, C, E, G. 5/7 chord, C, E, G, B flat. Or the 1/6/4 chord, which is also C, E, G, except for the G is going to be on the bottom, because in 6/4 the 5th is on the bottom. So those are the only chords that you'll see. So that narrows it down quite a bit. And especially notice that what it narrows down is what the bass note can possibly be. Because if it's the 1 chord, the F will be in the bass. If it's the 4 chord, it will be the B flat. But then if it's the 5 or the 5/7 chord or the oh wait, this is wrong. Excuse me. I'm sure some of you caught that. The 1/6/4 chord actually is F, A, C with C in the bass. Sorry about that. So the 5 chord, the 5/7 chord, and the 1/6/4 chord would have the C in the bass. So really it's only F, B flat, or C that could possibly be in the bass. For me, the first thing I'm going to try and do is figure out what the soprano is. So I'm going to listen and see if I can follow that soprano line. Why don't you see if you can follow the soprano line when I play it? This is what I think the soprano line is. I just wrote the note heads without the stems because I don't want to commit myself yet. I'm going to listen one more time and make sure, see if that sounds right. I'm just following the soprano line. You can hear that it's mostly stepwise. I think that's right. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to guess, first of all, what I think the bass notes might be based on theory. Right now all I have is a guess. Okay, I'm just guessing what they might be based on what I know is in each one of these chords. So the first note, well, I guess I gave you the first bass note as an F. The second note, I've got a G in my soprano, and I'm going to look up here and think which of these chords has a G in it. The 5 chord has a G in it, and the 5/7 chord has a G in it. That's it. So it's probably going to be a C, because if it was a B flat, if I put a B flat down here, then I would be saying that this is a B flat chord, and there is no G's in this B flat chord. So I'm going to guess that it's probably a C. Here's an A. Now, how many different chords have the A in it? F, A, C, the 1 chord does, and the 1/6/4, which is the same chord. I'm going to guess right now that it's an F chord. I'm going to expect the 1/6/4 to be closer to the end, right before the 5/7 chord. Alright, here's a B flat. My choices would be that it could be the 4 chord, a B flat chord. Could also be a 5/7 chord, possibly. I'm going to guess right now that it's a B flat, and we'll see if I'm right later. This one, just by guessing, there's a C up here. It could either be the 5th of the 1 chord, or it could be the root of a 5 chord. So I put them both down here, and I figured I would listen. Here the soprano's on a D, so there's really only one of these chords that has a D in it, which is the 4 chord, B flat, D, F. So it almost has to be a B flat. I don't know what else it could be. As long as there's D in the soprano, it has to be B flat in the bass. Then over here we've got a C in the soprano, and then another C in the soprano. And just like this C over here, I've got my 2 choices, F and C, F and C, F and C. Now if I'm going to guess here at the end, most of these end with a cadence, you know, a 5/1 cadence. So I might be able to just listen and think, does it sound complete at the end? If so, then it's probably going to be 5 going to 1. Or if it sounds incomplete, like it's not over, like it needs an answer to the question, then it might be 1 going to 5. So I'm going to listen and see it. So let's listen to it one more time. starting with that last thing, I think that it sounds like 5 going to 1. Listen to the last 2 chords. And if you can hear the bass, it goes 5 1 5 1. So let's update. One thing I might do is I might try to decide. I've got a lot of F's here. This has to be an F, just because that's the only one that fits with this. This one has to be an F, because it's the only one that fits with this A. So let's see if we can hear if this F matches this F matches this F. If it doesn't match, if it sounds lower, then it's probably a C. Could you hear that this goes back up to an F, that it did match? Hopefully you could. If you play it a few times, you probably will. So we've got a soprano and bass line. I'll listen to it one more time just to double check, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill in the alto and tenor as if it was a theory exercise. And I'll probably get pretty close just from doing that. So a couple things I'm going to try to remember to do is I'm going to remember that if I'm in a root position chord, I'm going to double the root. Double the root. So this has an F in it. So basically I'm going to go through and figure out what each of these chords needs to be. This one is actually pretty straightforward. There's really only one choice for each one, just based on the root. The only one that we don't know for sure is when we get to the 5 chords here, this 5 chord and that 5 chord. We're not sure if it's a 5/7 chord or just a 5 chord. It's possible that this is a 1/6/4 chord, because here's the C in the bass, and this is a C up here. It doesn't tell us anything, except given that it's going, the next chord is a 1 chord. What do you actually expect to see after a 1/6/4 chord? You normally expect to see a 5 chord. A 1/6/4, especially at the cadence, is kind of like a preparation to the dominant. And there's no room for a dominant, just go straight to the 1 chord. So chances are that this is a 5 chord. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start filling things in. I'm going to remember to double the root if it's root position, which all of these are root position, and see what I come up with if I just do it as a theory exercise. The first chord, I really don't have any other options than what I have here. It's a 1 chord, so I need F, A, C, and I have to have 2 Fs because it's a root position. So here's an F. I need a C somewhere, and actually in this space between this A and this F, the soprano and the bass, there's really only one C, and that's right here. So the tenor, somebody has to be singing this middle C, either the tenor or the alto, except the altos need to be doubling the root, because we need the root doubled. I've got the 1 chord, and I go to the 5 chord and back to the 1 chord. See, these two are the same. And then we've got everything, sopranos and altos both moving down by step and then back up, and tenor is moving straight across. So it's pretty smooth voice leading. So I think that's probably safe bet, what we have so far. Okay, now I'm here on the 4 chord, and so I need B flat, D, and F. I had B flat in the bass and B flat in the soprano, so all I needed was an F, so I just left the altos where they were, and then I moved the tenors up 1 step to a D, so I had all the notes I needed. Now here I'm on the 4 chord. I need 2 Fs, so I suppose I could have left the altos on the F, had the sopranos go up to a C, but then I'd have a big leap. I'd have to either go down a 4th. I would have to go down a 4th in the tenors. So I'd rather have the tenors jump up a 3rd to F here. And there I have an F, and then another F, and then an A and a C. And then the tenors just get to stay on the F for when I go to the 4 chord. They're on F, and then they stay on F. And then I have a D and a B flat. So here's the doubled B flats. And then I have a C chord. Now the tenors go down a step to E, and they're on the 3rd. There's the G and there's the C, so I have 2 C's, a C and a C. And then I'm going to go back to the 1 chord. There's an F, there's an F, there's an A, C, so I've doubled the root on all of those. That's what I'm guessing it is, just based on theory. Now I'm going to listen to it again and see if that seems to make sense. Now, usually on the tests and things like that, at some point I will play the alto a little bit louder and then the tenor a little bit louder. And then you can just use that to confirm what you're doing. I'll play it, and then this time I'm going to emphasize the tenor part. Hopefully you could hear that that checks out. Okay, now here is the alto part. I'm going to emphasize the alto part, so this, that line right there. Okay. Okay, hopefully we can feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about that. Those are the right ones. Now I'm going to make sure to do the final step, which is to add my stems, because right now it just looks like note heads. Here we go. So notice that for all the soprano notes, I put the stems up, and the stems up go on the right side of the note head. Sometimes people get a little confused about this. And the alto notes, oop, I forgot this one right there. Needs a stem going down. So stem going down. Down stems are on the left, up stems on the right. Tenor, stems are going up. Bass, the stems are going down. Okay, I hope this helps.